Hey everybody, I'm Jasmine Murphy. You can call me Sunny. I'm the owner and writer of Black Flower Writing Services and Supplies. And today I can finally come to you and talk to you about lead generation techniques. What do I mean by this? I basically mean just building up a bunch of people who are interested in your brand, your products, your services, and who might eventually buy from you. And you can do this in all kinds of ways. Today, I'm specifically talking about content marketing since I'm a content writer. And really, this can go for anybody. You don't have to be a content writer or content creator in general. You could just be an entrepreneur who's using content as a form of networking. These lead generation techniques can really work across industries. Across subject matters. It just depends on how you use them. And keep in mind that they're not the end all be all lead generation techniques. These are just things that I found have worked for me, have worked for clients, and have worked for colleagues. So all that said, let's get started. So the first one, most basic one, collaborate with industry leaders. Why do I say that? And what do I mean by that? Well, collaborating with industry leaders basically just means that you want to partner up with somebody who is in your industry who's doing really well, and who you respect, who you look up to. You should really network with people in your industry to identify opportunities that for learning from them, but also picking their brain and grabbing a little bit of their knowledge for your target audience. And I want to specify with that you don't necessarily have to go for somebody who is going to compete with you. That's not a good idea. You want to go with somebody who's in your industry and not so much in your niche. Now, I mean by that, I'll use myself as an example. My niche, I guess I would say, is more content that will fall under the category of science communication, making scientific information more understandable to the general public. This can be in almost anything. This can be in cannabis, this can be in pets, this can be in sustainability. Those are some of the most common topics I tend to write about, because those are some really hot topics that really rely on scientific research, but it's not easy to make that scientific research understandable. So that's kind of where I specialize in, along with some other things. Now, I wouldn't necessarily want a content writer who has that specialty to be featured in some of my content marketing. Well, why not? That's because I don't want my clients to read that stuff and just be like, hey, the writer that you featured, I think I'm actually going to go with them instead. You see what I mean? You don't want to go with somebody who's going to steal your clients from you. And I don't mean that in the way of like being paranoid. Like, please feel free to feature people who maybe do similar work as you. That's totally fine to do. I mean, more so in a sense that let's keep that specialty in mind, my specialty in mind. I might invite somebody who is an SaaS writer, software as a service. I might invite somebody who's a fintech writer, financial technology. I might invite those types of people because those are not exactly subjects that I write on frequently or that I'm even really interested to write on. So those are types of people that I would want to feature in my content. Now, let's get into a little bit of why you would want to do this in the first place. Well, collaborating with industry leaders can really help to strengthen the value of your content. And this is because it's not just all coming from one perspective. One of the strongest aspects that you can have in your content marketing is a diverse perspective. And what do I mean by that? I mean, digging into the mind of your target audience, digging into the mind of some of your fellow industry leaders, because you don't know everything. You just don't. So being able to feature another perspective from someone who was respected and established in your industry, not your niche, can be, and sometimes your niche too, sometimes that's appropriate, that can really generate a lot of value for your content, really help to establish you as a leader, and establish you as a go-to source of information for clients who are really looking, or customers who are looking for solid information that they can trust, whether they intend to buy or not. So when you collaborate with another leader in your niche, whether that be somebody who has already had an established career for a couple of years, or somebody who's a strong up-and-comer, or maybe somebody who's on the same level as you. It really helps to strengthen your content, not just by the content itself, but it can quite literally help on a search engine level by linking out to the person that you're featuring. It can help to kind of position you on the search engines, connecting your website with things that have similar subject matters, things that are in similar industries, and that can help kind of strengthen your SEO strength while also providing and really maximizing the value of the actual written words there. And back to what I was saying earlier, when you bring in somebody who maybe represents a different niche in your industry, or maybe even just represents a different perspective regardless of their niche or their industry. And just quick note, you can make your industry as broad or as specific as you want. I can say that my industry, when I'm talking about collaborations, my industry is freelancing. That means that I can reach out to a freelance graphic designer. I can reach out to a freelance video editor. There's a lot of different things that I can do with that. Or I can be a little bit more specific and say my industry is content writing, and so I'm going to feature another content writer. And so doing those types of things and being creative with kind of the people that you reach out to and that you collaborate with, this kind of allows you to really expand the resources that you have in collecting industry secrets and really getting different perspectives, different opinions, different types of experiences within the subject matter that you're covering. And this can just do wonders for creating content that doesn't just rank high on the search engines, but it really is transformative for your readers and for their lives. It offers real value and something that they can take action on. And that's really one of the most important things when you're doing content marketing, especially when you're really high up there in the sales funnel, is getting people to trust, understand, and appreciate your brand as one that genuinely cares about their advancement and is not just there to take their money. So next one, try out B2B content. Now I kind of already went into this a little bit, but I'll kind of explain a little bit more. What do I mean by this? So first off, remember that you're not just restricted to B2C content, which is business to consumer. Side note, there's also C2C, which is consumer to consumer, and that would be something like reviews, something like that. Now, business to consumer content is when the company is talking directly to their clients or consumers. That's fine. That's great. You should definitely have that. If you want to expand your audience a little bit, then you can go with B2B content. And this is kind of what I do when I am on LinkedIn. So I'll give the example of my LinkedIn versus my website. Now, my website is more B2C. I talk directly to my customers, my clients rather, and I tell them, these are the types of things that you can expect from content writing. This is how you plan your content writing. And sometimes I provide tools and resources and kind of how-tos on how to do your content yourself. Now, those are a lot of different forms of B2C content. If I want to do B2B content, then I go to my LinkedIn where I do a mixture of both. And this has a couple of different purposes. My B2B content will focus on things like how a freelancer, specifically a freelance writer, can know whether or not they should accept a particular contract from a particular client, red flags to look for, that kind of thing. And the function of that is really to broaden my audience. Now, broadening my audience in that way helps me to network and identify opportunities for number one that I just talked about, which is collaborating with industry leaders. When I produce that kind of content, more people follow me, more people, message me, and then I get to build new connections within my industry that I can maybe later draw from if I need any help with something, or if my client just needs a reference to somebody who maybe has a different type of expertise than I do. Then that helps me tremendously. And it also really helps to build my authority in my niche and in my industry, because others who are also service providers can trust me when I give them information. So that really has some really strong value when you're talking about making B2B content and not just the idea of B2B collaborations, because that can be applied to B2C or C2C content. And as I was mentioning, generating and developing this B2B content really helps to establish your place in your industry. It's not just a matter of backlinks or something like that, but really building your character and your brand. Because what I'm kind of in the process of when I do that, when I make that B2B content on LinkedIn, versus making that B2C content on my website, I'm really in the process of establishing myself as somebody who is not just here just to get a bunch of clients, but I'm really here to build other freelancers up. I am here to support fellow freelancers because I know the struggle, I know what's hard, and I want to prevent other freelancers from doing the same thing, making the same mistakes. And also at the same time, communicating to clients. And that's why my B2B content can kind of double as B2C content sometimes, because it also communicates to clients that this is not only what I'm looking for, but these are the standards that you should strive for and look for when you are looking for a freelancer in the market. These are the red flags that we as freelancers look out for. So these are the things that you should probably avoid doing. You know what I mean? So it really has it has a multifaceted purpose when you're doing things like that. So those are just some really important details to keep in mind when you're thinking about trying out B2B content. My last point here with the B2B content is that you can have an entirely unique voice, a unique style, and really unique subject matters when you make B2B content, because this allows you an opportunity to be really vulnerable. For example, when I can't think of a particular example right now, but I know that I've probably done this before, where when I'm making B2B content, I can talk about my failures as a content writer, but also generally as a freelancer. These are the mistakes that I've done before, that I've made before, and this is how I recover from them, or this is how I didn't recover, and this is what I learned from not being able to recover from that. What that does is that really increases that transparency, because you're not trying to position yourself as somebody who is perfect. You're not trying to position yourself as somebody who, I deserve all your praise. I deserve all the contracts because I'm faultless. I'm the perfect service provider. That's just not true, and that's not going to happen. So when you really allow yourself to be honest and vulnerable like that, your clients really learn to appreciate your trustworthiness, and so do others in your industry, which means, once again, back to number one, they're going to be more likely to work with you, more likely to partner with you, and really build up your brand with you when they see you being honest in those ways. So that's kind of some of the power behind B2B content. Now, moving on to number 3, offer answers to challenging questions. Okay, so how in the world does this generate leads? What do I mean by this? Well, you can't generate leads without actually providing things that are valuable. And this can come at any stage of your sales funnel. You can offer answers to challenging questions at the awareness stage, which is right up there at the top of the funnel, when your prospects, rather, your ideal clients, your ideal customers are just becoming aware of your brand. You can offer answers to even more challenging questions towards the middle, or towards the end, when your readers are ready for a conversion. There are a lot of different ways that you can implement this. And really the core idea behind it is providing information that is transformative, that is actionable for your readers. You don't want to just be publishing a bunch of fluff on your website. You don't want to just fill up space with a bunch of words just for the heck of it. No, you really want to create content that is going to help someone, that is going to mean something for someone. Whether they buy from you or not, your stance when developing content should be, I want to help answer this question. I want to help make my readers' life a little bit easier, give them a little bit more clarity, and help them to really understand what they're looking for and how to accomplish or find what they're looking for. That should be your motivation behind developing and publishing content, not just, oh, I should, fill up my blog. It would, I didn't publish anything this week or something like that. No, do not think like that, because you're just going to make a bunch of fluff. Your content should really help to enhance your reader's life, and that should be the core of what you're doing. And with that, you really shouldn't be afraid to expand on challenging topics when your customers ask for help. Now, what do I mean by this in particular? When your customers ask for help, a lot of the content that I've been working on lately has been derived directly from client interactions. Let's say that one of my clients has some challenges with either my price points, or has some challenges with their payment process or something like that. Then over time, I'll start to absorb what one or more clients are saying. I'll see the commonalities between different clients, and then I'm just like, you know what? I think they need some help with this. I've seen this too many times, and maybe not too many, but I've seen it repeatedly. And it seems like a common problem that I can probably be a little bit more proactive with, get ahead of it, and answer the question before it's even asked. That's what I mean when I'm talking about when your customers ask for help. And when it comes to challenging topics, going back to the money thing, I hate talking about money. So if there is a question that may potentially come up about money, whether it's positive or negative, it doesn't even matter. I will try to get ahead of that by publishing an article that answers something that's either too confusing or maybe just too uncomfortable for me to deal with. And that really helps to kind of eliminate any sort of unnecessary conflict. It also helps to save time, because your client doesn't have to, take up your meeting time or take up consultations, maybe go back and forth in email exchanges to get their questions answered. No, they can go straight to your blog, they can go straight to your resource list and get their answers there. And another thing on the challenging aspect of it is maybe, going back to my specialty of translating scientific research and making scientific information more accessible and understandable to people, whether that's cannabis, pets, sustainability, anything like that, cultural intersections with science, that kind of thing. Those things can be really difficult for the average person to kind of get their head around themselves. It can also be really difficult for entrepreneurs and business owners to make that content themselves, because not only do they have to translate that information, which they may not have the training for, but they also have to go and find that information. They might also have to find individuals who can be interviewed for said project, for said article. So that is extremely difficult for some people to do for themselves. And so when you want to do that, that's what would be those challenging topics, those challenging subject matters. And when you want to do that, this is something we'll get into at a later date, but you'll have to decide, should I write my content myself? Should I hire a professional? Don't be afraid to really explore your options and explore the angles that you have when it comes to answering these really challenging subjects for your readers, because I promise you they'll appreciate you for it. There's nothing better than, being able to look up information and get that answer directly and in a trustworthy manner with the sites sorted, with the references cited and everything like that. I promise you, your readers will really, really appreciate it. And on another note, when you're talking about these challenging topics, you want to ensure that it not only enhances your reader's life, but you want to make sure that it enhances it because they were able to take action. And the only way that they can take action is if you tell them how. Now, you can dump a bunch of information on them. Sure, fine. Maybe in some cases that's fine. But in other cases, you really want to tell them how to make this applicable to their lives. So you can go ahead and go with listicles. You can go with step-by-step tutorials. And all of it, all the while, needs to be focused on this really high value, transformative, actionable aspect that really each and every one of your pieces of content should have. All right, so number 4, you really want to provide high value tools and resources. And this is kind of what I was just about to get into. When it comes to creating those step-by-step tutorials, if you want to, put together maybe a resource list or something like that, you want to give your readers something that they can really grab onto and that they can use and refer to day to day throughout their lives, whether they buy from you or not. And if they do buy from you, then far, far later down the road after they bought from you, and they can ensure that they're happy because you have given them the resources to apply your product, your service, your course, whatever. Now, these things can be provided in the in the form of maybe downloadable content. So you can have a downloadable PDF at the end of one of your articles. You can have an infographic, maybe that your readers can save on their phone. These things can be general tutorials. For instance, if you are a home and garden website and you want to help your readers maybe learn how to plant and grow a tomato plant, then maybe you have an infographic with steps that they can take throughout the season and how to take care of their tomato plant. And they can either refer to that, they can save it on their phone, and that'll help them grow their tomato plant throughout the season. Or you can even develop an ebook a very short ebook where you go through the most common types of plants in the garden and, talk about when to plant them, what type of soil they need, all that stuff. These are types of resources that could be really, really incredibly valuable to your readers, because they don't have to have web service all the time. They don't have to constantly go back to your blog. These are things that they can take with them. And it really helps to show your readers, your clients, your customers, that you really care. You genuinely care about their success. You care about the quality of their life, and you really want them to succeed. And it's not all about taking a profit. It's not all about taking their money. It's genuinely about improving their lives. And sometimes the best way that you can do that is to give them something for free. And I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes if you give your clients something really high value for free, then they're just left wondering, if they gave me this for free, what are they hiding behind a paywall? Like, oh my goodness, I'm more willing to buy from them now because they just gave me something that was really high value. And so that's something that that's kind of one of the reasons why it's a really powerful lead generation technique, is because, this can be at the top of your sales funnel, top and middle, I would probably say, when it comes to these downloadable tools and resources, because it helps to keep your brand on their mind as they're going about their day-to-day life. For instance, I have a downloadable ebook that's based on a super viral list, and I just add some commentary to it. And because my brand name is in there a couple of times, this reference guide that they use can kind of help to keep my brand on their mind as they go about their day-to-day. Whenever they go back to that ebook, they remember, oh yeah, I got this from Sunny, and she really helped me do this. Or, I actually have some downloadable templates as well. And so whenever that client uses that template, they can remember, oh yes, I got this from Black Flower. Then I can go back to them, another time if I need something like this, or if I need more help with something else related to content. You know what I mean? It really helps to keep your brand on their mind and establish you as kind of a friend, as a trustworthy friend, a trustworthy acquaintance who has already helped them out and might help them out again. So there are a lot of different ways that you could kind of apply this in providing these high value tools and resources. And I would say just one more thing on that. When it comes to providing those high value tools and resources, you can go ahead and also make things like listicles. It doesn't have to be downloadable. When you make listicles and you really compile a list of these are all the things that can help you to improve your life today, or help you can't speak right now. These are some of the things that can help you Plan your content management. Like I offer content planning services. Maybe somebody doesn't want to use that. Maybe if they want to do it in a DIY fashion, I might compile a list of software that they can use to plan their content. Again, because I'm not just looking to extract. I'm looking to help and really to enhance their quality of life and make things easier on them. So I'm going to put together a list of, you can use Notion, you can use Canva, you can do all of these things to, what's that other one called? Hootsuite. Yeah, you can use all of these different things, CoSchedule, to plan your content if you want to do it yourself. And if you don't want to do it yourself, then I can do it for you. That's kind of the position that you want to take when you're offering these high value tools and resources, because you don't want to just give everything to your customer and be like, here, do it all yourself. Because that kind of devalues your own services. You want to do it in a way where you're clearly offering your clients, your customers, your readers a choice. You can either do it this way with all of these resources yourself, or you can do it better with me and more easily with me. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I mean by that. Now, number 5, finally, incentivize your readers to act. Now, this is kind of strange to be added onto a lead generation list, but I'm still going to include it in there because you can still generate leads with a call to action. You might just have somebody who's not quite yet a lead because they're not quite in your funnel, or they're not really thinking about purchasing or anything like that. And the way that you get them is by, distributing this top of the funnel awareness content, and your call to action. Your call to action can be something like, read our blog here, read our case study here, or just follow us or subscribe to our newsletter. That is lead generating. It seems very simple and it seems very superficial, but that is the first step to really pulling somebody into your sales funnel. Like, hey, you see me? I'm here. So now come here. You're interested. You clearly show that you're interested. Like, have you ever been at one of those events where you have to kind of sit, I don't exactly remember what they're called, but it's pretty much just on the fly marketing, where you're at this event and you have to sit at your table with your brand flag behind you, whether it's your volunteer organization or it's your company, whatever. You have to sit at the table. Everybody walks by while all the other tables are there, kind of like an expo. And you catch people as they walk by. They're not a lead yet, but you see them walking by. You see them look at your flyer. You maybe see them eye your posters a little bit. And you're like, hey, I see you're interested. Come talk to me. Like, you don't say it like that. You'd be a little bit more charismatic. But that's kind of what I'm talking about. You're seeing that person walk by and you are now pulling them in with that awareness content and saying, hey, I see your interest. Let me pull you in. Follow us, subscribe, jump into our network, join the forum, something like that. Those are the types of CTAs that you might use when it comes to, pulling somebody into your funnel and turning them into a lead. And the goal behind that is, once your reader, your customer, your passerby, once they are pulled into your funnel, once they opt in as a new lead, then they will regularly be provided with content that, according to the last several steps I've given you, really helps to solidify you as a source of information and helps to solidify you as a person in the industry who cares about their quality of life and who will make it better. And as they move through the funnel via different calls to action, then you're turning them into either a stronger lead or you're turning them into a client, hopefully. But these are different ways that, like, all of these different steps can be used at various parts of your sales funnel to either generate a new lead or slowly convert a lead. There's different ways that you can use all of these. All of these you can use to expand your target audience, to reach your target audience, to grow your target audience, and to really cultivate rapport between yourself and your target audience. And over time, the trust and the rapport that you build with them with any and all of the steps used so far can be used to then, really land that call to action bring it home, and they will be inspired. If you reach out to entrepreneurs, they'll be inspired to grow their brand alongside yours with your help. If you reach out to consumers, they'll be excited to enhance their quality of life with your help, because you've established yourself as a trustworthy business, a trustworthy person, whatever it may be. There are just so many different ways that you can use this to develop and strengthen your customer relationships and your colleague relationships too. So that's really all I have for today. I hope that these helped you out. These are just some lead generation techniques that I have found work for me, work for colleagues, work for clients. They're not by any means the only ones that you can use, but I promise if you use them wisely, if you use them consistently and use them well, then absolutely you will be getting some pretty strong, high quality leads out of this. Whether you're working with clients long term or whether you're just working with consumers who stop by and maybe buy one thing and move on and maybe only read your blogs for the rest of their life. Lead generation can mean many different things for many different funnels and many different stages and audiences. So either way, I hope that this works well for you. This was a lot of fun, and I'll see you in the next one.